Hello, fourth graders. Welcome to lesson, excuse me, 3.9. Today we're talking about hundredths. Excuse me. There we go. That's better. All right. How do you like to spend your money? What do you like to buy? Oh my goodness. I bet there's all sorts of fun things there. It can be fun to have a little extra money sometimes to spend, although more money does not necessarily just make you more happy. Okay, so do keep that in mind in your life. But in order to understand money, you have to understand decimals. And remember, we started talking about yesterday numbers like this, right? 7/10 and 1 and 2 tenths, because this is the tenths place. We still have the ones place, right? It didn't go away. The ones place is still there. But now we have places that are even smaller than the ones place. So let's take a look at this math message. Take a moment, right? And you're going to write down how you would write this amount of money with a dollar sign and a decimal point, right? You've been doing money for a long time. You can put all four answers in the same box. Go ahead and do that, please. All right, now, right? Think about it, right? So $3, three in the ones place, 5 dimes, five in the tenths place, 1 penny, 351. 3 dimes and 6 pennies. So no dollars, no whole dollars, no ones. Three in the tenths because there's 10 dimes in a dollar, right? So each dime is 1/10. 6 pennies. $2 bills and 7 dimes would look like this. $2 bills, 7/10. No extra pennies. And 9 pennies means we have $0, 0 dimes, and 9 pennies. Okay, how'd you do on that? Hopefully you did okay. Remembering those different money values. So thinking about this, right? This is something I just mentioned. So let's see if you were listening. How many dimes are in a dollar? Well, 10, right? So what fraction of a dollar is 1 dime? 1/10, right? If you had a penny, or excuse me, a dime, it could go right here. Now, some of you are thinking, but a dime is 10 cents. Well, yes, that's true. And we're going to see why 10 hundredths is why 10 like this is the same as this. But I'm getting a little bit ahead of us, but we're going to see it real soon. How many pennies are in a dollar? Well, 100. So what fraction of a dollar is 1 penny? 1/100th, right? So 1/100th, if we wanted to write that as a fraction, 0 wholes, right? 0 dimes, so no tenths, and 1 penny, right? So this is called the hundredths spot, right? Hundredth. It's like the word hundred, but then it has a THS. Hundredths. Hundredths spot. So a penny is 1/100th of a dollar. You really have to make sure you nail the endings of those words, tenths and hundredths, because tens and hundreds, right? $100 is very different than 100th of a dollar. So if we look at this, right, the first digit to the right of the decimal point stands for dimes or tenths. The second stands for pennies. So we have the ones place, the tenths place, and the hundredths place. The ones place is represented by $1 bills. Here it is, nice and big. Ones place, tenths place, like yesterday, and now today, hundredths place. So we're going to be representing some decimals with base 10 blocks and pictures. Okay, and I'm going to kind of be using the blocks here on the video since you might not have the blocks in front of you. Although, if you need them, they are on Everyday EM, Everyday Math Kit website. The e-toolkit has base 10 blocks. All right. How many longs would we need to cover the whole grid? Well, let's do this. So one, two. Oh, the grid. All right, how many longs did I need to cover that grid? 10, right? So 1/10, right? One of those longs, one of these is worth 1/10 of the whole grid. Okay, so what we're doing, we're kind of changing what you've done with base 10 blocks before. We're considering the whole grid as one whole pizza. That equals 1. So this one piece equals 1/10 because 10 of them cover the whole thing, right? So remember, how else can we write 1/10? I think I just did it. We could write 1/10 like this. How else can we write 1/10 with a decimal point? Oh, I hope you wrote this. That is 1/10, like we've been talking about recently. So 1/10, 1/10, 1/10, we could write it all like that if we had one of those blocks. So our base 10 blocks are going to be used to model. They're just like the dimes. So if I had 4/10ths here, right? So each one of these is 1/10. So 1/10, 2/10ths, 3/10ths, 4/10ths. So if I wrote it as a fraction, I would write this, and that is equal to this decimal, 4/10ths, like this. All right, I'm going to put them on here, but you're going to tell me the fraction and the decimal. What are the fraction and the decimal for what you see on my grid? Okay, you should have written. Why does it keep being yellow? Here, let's go to red. 2/10ths and 2/10ths. Those are the same. Now, we can also use the little cubes in the base 10 blocks to model 100th. So if we put 1 cube on the grid, 1 cube, it is 1 out of 100. So we say this 1/100th. 100th. If we write it as a decimal, we have 0 holes because we didn't cover the whole grid. We have 0/10ths because we didn't use any of the long pieces. And we have 1/100th, right? These guys are just like your pennies. That was why there was a penny on this slide, right? There's 100 pennies in a dollar. There's 100 of these little tiny cubes on this grid. 100th, 100th. We can write 100th like this. We can write it like this with THS. Well, only no S because it's only one of them. Or we could write it like this. Okay, so let's do 5/100ths. So watch this. I need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Didn't get that one quite placed exactly right, but you know where it should be. All right, why do I not need any of these? Why not? Because look what's here. Look, look, look. See that 0 in the tenths place? I don't need any tenths. I only need 5/100ths. To write this as a fraction, I would write 5 out of 100, not 5/10ths. That would be a lot. 5 little cubes out of 100, 0 holes, 0/10ths, 5/100ths. So when I say this, I would say 5/100ths. You'll hear people say 0.05, but really they're trying to say 5/100ths. 5/100ths. All right. You tell me, what blocks do I need to use to do? This is called, when we see this, it's called 12/100ths. We don't say 0 and 1/10 and 2/100ths. We group it together. We say 12 and whatever number the last number is, 12/100ths. What do I need to get out here? Okay, there are two possibilities of correct answers. You could have said 12 of these cubes, and that would work. But if I put 12 of those cubes together, that would be enough for one long. Okay, so one long and two cubes. If you said 12 cubes, you're also right because those are equivalent. All right, how would I write that as a fraction and a decimal? Well, whoop, move that around. Gotta pick my pen first. 12 hundredths equals 12 hundredths. Right? Zero here because I did not fill any of the whole grids in. All right, last one here. 12, we have 21 hundredths. What blocks do I need to get? Now I need, okay, I could have said 21 of these guys, right? But I don't want to deal with 21 of them. That would take forever. So there's 1/10, 2/10, which is the same as 20 hundredths, and one more. And I would write it like this, 21 hundredths. And I would write it like this, 21 hundredths. See how these represent the same thing. All right, our objective is to be able to represent decimals with base 10 blocks and with some pictures. You'll be using the pictures. Now, again, if you want to pull out the blocks, they are on the Everyday Math site, an e-toolkit. But I bet you can do fine with just the drawings. It's up to you, though. Up here at the top, they have shown you what it is. You're naming the fraction and the decimal. And then down here, they have named the decimal. Be careful. Look, this says 9/10 and this says 900ths. Don't color in the same amount on number 4 and number 5. All right. I think you're ready to do this. If you need any help with anything, fourth graders, be sure to reach out to me. And good luck.